Welcome to the SPL Rundown, your weekly look at all the SPL action. I'm here with my three wonderful guests, Lermy Wormy, Frost, and Rathan, here to break down all of last week's exciting action. Catch my interview with Herwin a little bit later on, but first, let's delve right in to this week's game, starting with United vs. Obey. What are you guys' first thoughts on United vs. Obey? I want to just point out there, our boy Frost, he called it 2-1 on the set. You know, United looked pretty clean in game 1, but Obey comes through in games 2 and 3 to take the set. What are you guys' thoughts?
I guess in-game voting was right. They had like 70-something% Obey, and I was like, what? No way. They did it. They won their first set.
I will say some of the other in-game voting has been very suspicious.
Yeah, a little bit.
Honestly, though, it's like someone's got bets on these games, like from within. Very, very suspect throughout all these.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched that whole set front to back.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I was going to see an Obey dub this year, as hard as it is to say out loud, it was going to be versus United, and I was absolutely jumping out of my chair at that set. And I'm super happy for the guys that they got the win. I don't know. It seemed like the first game they were like deer in headlights. I don't know if they were awake or like what the heck happened when they went to play, but that was just a clown fiesta.
Sure.
The first game, and they came back, and I mean, I don't know if you call it a reverse sweep in a 3-game set, but to reverse the series, to come out strong, they played game 2 clean.
Yeah.
Clean. And that was like, you know, you watch that and you're like, okay, like this is signs of life, right? Nobody in the team is doing, or nobody in the league is doing particularly well right now. Obey's on the rise. They're playing clean. You know, they're capitalizing on the United's mistakes. They're not just like, I don't want to say getting lucky or winning team fights, but you know, they were very objective focused. And I think that was the one thing that weirded me out about the first game with United. I think they got like the first 4 objectives in a row. I think they got 2 pyros, 2 gold, and then they ended up losing the game. And that was just like, I might be thinking of the wrong game, but I feel like that's like you got to figure that out. And what I realized is like, it really comes down to the god that Bobby's on.
Yeah.
Right? Because like Ducky's pretty much always going to do well. He's basically, you know, when I look at the talent on the team, Ducky is like not like far and away superior, but Ducky is consistent, right? Ducky doesn't fall behind.
He's definitely up there with Wolfie.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, him and Wolfie are like they don't miss anything, and they're always in the right place at the right time. And I think the second that you give Bobby a god that could play aggressively but get out of trouble, you start winning games, because that's exactly what happened. You put him on the Horus, he could go in, he could be aggressive. You know, he can, you know, run at people with his W key pressed, and then he go, oh shit, I gotta get out of here, right? And that's, and that's what they need, because Bobby, you know, we talk about him every week. We talk about Obey. Bobby has this great desire to play aggressively and to punish and to invade and to do all this good stuff, but when it comes to like being out of position, he's like one of the worst defenders in the entire league. You put him on something that's got a big ass safety net on it, and you saw exactly what happened. I'm not kidding. You put him on Ymir, he dies. You put him on Kuzenbo, you know, even Herc is, I think like, you know, he has mobility, but like Bobby always uses that, right? And he ends up just dying, right?
I think especially with Herc, you rely a lot on the Shield of Regrowth proc to like get out of there. You know, after you go in, you like do whatever you do, press W key a little bit, and you press 3, and you're walking out of there. You know,
That's like 65 protections, right? It's like crazy amounts of protections on just one ability. It's actually
it is.
It's a lot.
A little nuts. Let's be honest here.
Ross,
but
any thoughts? Or Lermy, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the Horus, I mean, like Wraith has been noting, is just perfect for his style, and it definitely was worth the direct ban up against him in the later set. But we'll get to that eventually. But I think, you know, Bobby can be a great asset to the squad as soon as he realizes, you know, what is working for him, and they're slowly getting to that point where they're out of the experimentation phase now. I think they understand what their style is and what works for them. They just need to find a way to I don't know, push themselves to bring that style into more meta picks, because I like the things like the Raw, bringing that out for Wolfie was really great to see.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when it comes to meta, Raw can just get stomped on occasionally. So find something else that's more in meta and then bring it to your style, because there are plenty of things out there that can adapt to that kind of style of gameplay that just have better numbers and better tools to deal with what's good right now.
Ross?
I think Bobby's got a lot on his what happened to my tongue there? I think Bobby has a lot on his plate just from the virtues of being a support player. You can't see, you've got side lanes, you've got the jungle, you've got the mid. Not all roles have to be played with the same, either you're a +1, a 0, or a -1 mentality. Support is you're either a +1 or you're a -1. There is no neutral ground. If you're a neutral ground support, you're just going to get thrown back into community leagues or wherever it is that you came from, because you need supports to be leaders. It's so odd seeing Inbound coming into the PC league, because he did really well in console. Like, you can't take that away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to be that +1 alongside players like Sino, who's got world championship under his belt, Wolfie, who almost got 2 under his.
Sure.
You got Ducky, who's insanely good, and then Wowie's just always been, even if he's not +1 every time, he's always been able to maintain at least 0, and that's a role that can be 0. Bobby's just got so much going for him, and I like that they've got that. We found your style, but now that's almost becoming a trope. We saw Jake also have that style.
Yeah.
Him, Jake, and Inbound, both of them, they had the Fafnirs. Why? Because Faf could just play in your face and then just drag it out of there, or drag it even further in, because no one expects that. So I like that Inbound is actually stepping in. He's making plays. I just don't know if this is like with the training wheels kind of still on for where he is. He's an amazing player. But I think part of the problems he has is kind of, this works in ranked against players that aren't going to punish me. These players are definitely going to punish me. And I think he's got a lot of suffering to do before he really comes into his own.
I 100% agree with that. And like every time he would get caught out, I'd be like, dude, like this is something that I would do if I got Hercules and I was playing in a rank game I didn't care about and I just wanted to WK people.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I completely agree with Frost there. I think the second he starts, like, you know, picking his fights a little more appropriately, or picking his position, it's just his positioning a little more appropriately, and realizing he's not invincible no matter what god he's on, that's going to be stellar. And I think it's crazy that PK picked up on the Horus thing just so quickly, that, you know, understanding that he has great games on mobile gods and just banning it out right away, I was like, that doesn't bode well for the boy if people can see it that quickly.
That's just rank stuff, honestly. If you're support, you're not going to play Guardians unless it's a Fafnir. You're going to go for the Herc. You're going to go for Horus. Get in, do your stuff, get out. You're definitely making space just by at least drawing eyes. But Ymir, one of the more punishing. I don't think it could get any worse than like Sylvanas. Just stay away from those. Go play Bacchus. Go play anything that's just not nearly that immobile.
One thing I wanted to mention is that even though Sino didn't have the best slash line or anything, it really felt like he was able to control the tempo of the games in games 2 and 3 especially, in terms of like making sure that invades were happening well and being able to snowball the lead that the team had generated. You think Sino is sort of coming back into form a little bit as we're progressing through phase 2?
I would say,
go on.
Yeah, I would say a little bit. He's kind of gone here and there, and I think picking up the Erlang Shen was kind of interesting because we'd already seen Cherio do it a couple of times before, and now it's kind of like, I guess, a signature pick for Sino too, but it's kind of like, man, but that's a warrior. But of all the warriors, that's probably the most assassin-like warrior other than maybe Achilles, and we already saw Achilles, so I mean, other than that, I mean, Scream, you know, he did okay in the first game, right? But then coming into the later sets, I don't like Achilles jungle very much. It might be a rank thing, but not the same.
Frost, what do you have to say about Sino?
Sino, I think he was very headstrong, very okay. I need to make the meta what I want it to be or what I think it needs to be.
Mhm.
I think he has like some supposed answer to a question that nobody's even posed yet. I've seen that in some of their builds, some of their games, some of their compositions. It feels like if you play into that composition, they've got you left, right, and center. But because they don't, because it's not a matching meta,
Mhm.
it just falls flat. I feel like Sino was playing a completely different game than almost everybody else, but now he's toning it back. He's got 2/3 of a season left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he spent a good third of this experimenting, probably a bit of stubbornness, probably a bit of just exploring, but he's probably going to start buckling down.
Sure. Wraith, anything on Sino, or I have one last topic about this game?
Not really. I mean, I like that he's actually like. I don't know how I want to phrase this, because like the part of me wants to be like taking it seriously, but I know that's not the right phrase.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like every set up until now, he was literally memeing, right? Like the shock jungle was a meme. We all know it was a meme, right? I don't know if that worked in some scrim. And at this point, I almost think, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I at this point, I almost think that the teams that they scrim literally fuck with them to get them to play weird meta stuff. Because the only reason he's playing shock jungle is because he scrimmed against some team that didn't care, did well, and he's like, this is the new sauce. And that's it. Like, that's
it's really good into auto attackers, though. It's really good into auto attackers. But like that one game that he pulled it out, there were no auto attackers.
There were none. Like it's cool. But why aren't you playing an auto attacker, right? Like,
Okay, but is it worse than the Hades? Which one's worse?
oh god, wait, he did Hades? Did I miss that game?
Not this year, but he's done it before in the
God.
SEC at the very least.
I actually think Poseidon jungle is a legit thing now. Like, I mean, I think you could roll that out.
Nox jungle.
No.
And I know he could do it because I've seen him and he loves playing it. So I don't understand why he wouldn't pull something out like that shuts down like half of the shit that's meta right now because mobility is so key. Like, I mean, when was the last time you saw the last time I saw an immobile character in a game in the SPL was like Wolfie's Raw, right?
And even Ra I think Ra
that
is
wasn't
not that immobile.
That wasn't an SPL game. You saw my tweet on that. I tried to pull up the stats. I even reached out to the guys who are in the league. Ymir is a 0% win rate in the SPL, correct? Nobody has won on him.
PBM won.
PBM
got it.
PBM won. Yeah.
And then PBM lost.
Yeah, he did.
PBM is a god, and
I don't know. Okay, that's for that game when that gets there. But we'll talk about that game when we get to that one.
I think I might have missed that one, but either way,
You and me
I don't
both.
know.
That character
I'm
did not
depressed.
belong in the SPL.
Not in that game. No.
Last thing I wanted to mention is that Herwind is basically the only mid we see that picks up the Baba Yaga on the regular. Is this his signature pick, or is it just that Hurry has the practice? Or, this is something I'm probably going to ask him when I interview him. But what are your thoughts on Hurry on the Baba Yaga?
Just thinking about the character period, in theory, just in a nutshell, looking at her numbers, she should be good. But just the inconsistency, her ultimate is kind of wonky too, in the fact that you can't really secure that consistent damage. Her escape is pretty nice. It's got that knock-up immunity and what have you, but other than that, she's just too inconsistent. She's not really an artillery mage because those little flames don't do a whole lot. They don't ever blow someone up. Like, I never feel like when I'm against a Baba that I'm ever in any real danger. I just need to not consistently stay in her range or, get followed up on by someone around her. But her as a character, I don't know. It's fine. It's not great, but it's fine.
Wraith and Frost, thoughts on Baba Yaga, or if you have any other thoughts on this game?
I'm bold enough to say that he's not playing it right. To me, that character was designed with something completely different in mind, and he plays her as if it was a Merlin or You know, look at his build, look at his playstyle. It's as if he's playing any other mage. And if you're going to play any other mage, then pick any other mage. I don't think he does what Baba Yaga excels at. He had before with like the double stacking, but even then, I didn't really care for the Warlock Sesh. I think she is an artillery mage, but a beefy one, and just causes complete chaos. I don't think it's as simple as this pick and this playstyle. Boom. I think it's going to take this pick, a different playstyle, a different build, and an entire team comp around it. And I think until they find that, they probably should kind of let it go. And if you're wondering, oh, these are the best players, there's no way. They've got to have had the build and the comps figured out. Well, Snoopy's not won a single game on Cthulhu because, again, I'll be bold and say I don't think they know how to play Cthulhu.
Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Frost. I think the character does extremely well if you like do certain things with her, and you have to play her differently than all of the other mages, right? Like she's not. It's almost like you're playing like a utility mage in some cases, but
Yeah.
everybody just wants to get in there, dump her whole kit, dump the damage, and walk away and hope you get 60,000 player damage by the end of the match. I mean, I don't think she's like top of the standings number one mid laner status, but I do think that just the way people play her is like not what she was intended for, if that makes sense. I mean, I completely agree with Frost.
Sure.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, then. Moving on to Radiance versus Renegades. And I think the Renegades did look a little bit better, but Radiance sort of cleaned it up, played as a team very well in the team fights, and game 2 was very quick from them. So pretty much a clean set by Radiance. I really wanted to point out that Big Man Tings on this Merlin just looked unstoppable this game. Initial thoughts on Radiance versus Renegades?
Oh man, it's rough in games like this because it's I don't want to draw too many conclusions from when there's such a discrepancy between two teams. I think
Sure.
Yeah.
these games aren't a waste of time, but the information that you draw on isn't nearly as stable as you'd like it to be, especially because BMT, initially I pictured him being in the same style as Venenu in a way. Very, if I have a hot team, I'm kind of that glue that holds it all together. And I don't want to say just yet that he's better than Venenu at that same play style, but I'm thinking he got the better team. So he shines a bit better. And I think, are they still interchangeable, these two players? Perhaps is one better than the other? Not sure yet, but one thing for sure, BMT got, the better trade in the end.
I just wanted to point out that BMT basically had 0 deaths this whole set. So, and there are some pretty highlight pop-off plays that he made. Especially, I remember one near tier 2 on the duo side, I think, in game 2, where he just kills Bera. And I remember Bera talking about it afterwards on stream, where he's just forgot the range on the Merlin one, and then accidentally stayed there a little too long, and he's dead now,
God, that thing is massive. I hate dealing with Merlins. Can't stand them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little biased here. Somebody who spends a lot of time in the jungle. But anytime you have a mid laner that has no deaths in an entire game, that kind of screams to me that your jungler's not picking his targets appropriately. I talked to Laz after the games. I was like, "Oh man, the hell happened there?" He's like, "Yeah, not my best performance," and I'm inclined to agree with him, right? But he seemed just like really anemic through the whole set. Like he didn't really have, like he was there, but it wasn't like a huge impact. But he was there.
Sure.
And a lot of the team fights, I think we get 2 Lazarus. We either get the Lazarus that comes out of the woodwork and ends the game with 10 kills on Pele and just absolutely obliterates whoever he's playing with, or you get the, and I almost feel like it's kind of like him trying to force himself into the meta. I don't think I've seen him have like a really good NEM game yet. Maybe one, right? I don't remember what he played that game, but
I
Or
think he
that
played
set,
Ravana
but-
in both games this set.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember the games, but like, I think like put him on those gods that he just knows like the back of his hand. I think Pele was banned for one of them,
I think so.
We can't. If these guys want to get better, we can't have like hot and cold Lasbra. We got to have like Lasbra medium, lukewarm, or better, right?
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off what you said, I remember there were a couple of solo ganks early on, I think in both of the games, that didn't really pan out. When you try to gank at level 5 with Ravana in the solo lane, like you're really looking for a kill there to sort of snowball the lane. And when you don't get that kill, it's just like a huge, I think, letdown. It really deflates like the tempo that you try to set early on in the game.
Yeah, Robin's really a momentum character. If you can get rolling with him, then he's just going to absolutely shit stomp you. But I mean, I like the thought process too. Like in their drafting, Robin made sense both times. He works really well up against Cupid and Kuzenbo and those kinds of characters. And even the Cthulhu, to a certain extent, it works really well. But I don't know. I guess it might just be the instance of, okay, he just isn't as comfortable in that character as the Pele or whatever it might be. And I think, Pele could have worked there too. So maybe, they have to rearrange their priorities. And I think one of their biggest mistakes in this set was that they didn't give BMT enough credit. They banned away Adapting's gods. And I feel like if they had kind of just, let Adapting do whatever he wanted. I mean, they banned away Daji when you have 3 characters with CC immunity in some way. Like, of course, like that's his signature pick. So you should be worried about it. But BMT got Merlin and he popped off. I think you need to really put some respect on his name.
Just looking at the bans, like they didn't even ban the Pele. I mean, Ravana's a good god, right? Like Ravana's a great jungler.
Sure.
Like I think Ravana is the best all-around jungler. Like you can build him tanky, you can build him full damage, you can open fights up with him, you can close fights out with him, right? Like he is the best character across the board for everything, and you can adapt it as the game goes. I just don't think Lasbra was very good on him. Like I think that's really what it comes down to.
He lacks one thing though. He does not have that mobility that like a different jungler would be able to provide across the map. The ones that Lasbra really shines on are the ones that are super mobile. His Rat's insane. It also has that flexibility too. His Rat's insane. His Pele's insane. Unless the meta is really pigeonholing into specific junglers, I think he should just rely on like his own style, if you will. If I see Pele, if I see Rat, I'm thinking Lasbra.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bans now, and his Pele was not banned out all weekend.
I think he got it in one of the later games in the weekend.
Well, I think he got it in the second game, and I think he did. Or no, the second set.
Yeah, the
You're
second
right.
set. Yep.
But it was never banned out. Yeah, not once was it banned out. I mean, maybe it doesn't fit the comp or what they were going for or whatever, but
I mean, that must have been the case. I must have practiced something in scrims, and they're like, this is the comp that we want to go for in this game.
That's got to be it, right? That's how Renegades drafts. Like, well, okay, so what's the synergy that they went for here? Well, we got a Ymir, Ram, Rav, Cthulhu, Scylla.
We have a Ymir. That's the stopping.
We have Ymir. I think game 1 we got a Faf, a Jing, a Rav, Amaterasu, and Isis. I want to bleep that out.
He did get Pele, but he went 3 and 5, and then he picked the Hebo.
Yeah, I mean,
let's save that for that set. Right?
Oh yeah. Sorry. But yeah, no, I think it's the same. It's kind of like the Obey story, right? Like give Jake something he's not going to feed on, right? And your jungler needs to show up.
Sure.
Like that's been the case for both of those teams.
Yeah.
This entire split.
I do want to mention Jake. Now that you brought him up, he did get this awesome 5-man freeze on Ymir, which is something we don't really see in the SPL all too often. Is this, good plays from Jake, or a little bit too late? A little too little too late?
See, if you're getting 5-man freezes, it's probably because the other team doesn't fear you. That you don't, like, that's such a rookie move to actually all 5 of you get caught out. It's so rare to not expect that. So It almost feels like they expected it and just knew nothing would come of it, which is exactly what ended up happening.
Yeah. I mean, I look at that as like a Blink Gabalt where you get everyone and
Sure.
then you just get exploded, right? Actually, Geb's a little safer than Ymir, but like,
Also,
but I
the
don't know,
Blink
man.
Gabalt
Like,
is a little bit easier than the Ymir freeze. Like, you know, the Ymir code is not that big.
yeah, I mean, I'm with Frost on this one. Scylla's like, I think Scylla was pushed like way in the back of the Phoenix, right? He saw the opportunity to get the freeze and the damage just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't have been there, right? It was spaced out. It was waiting for the engage. Like I cannot imagine he like didn't call that out or something like that, or like that's. It's almost like I look at that play and everybody wants to be like, "Wow, a 5-man freeze!" Like, oh my god! Like, okay, you hit 5 people with a giant cone ability. Like, congratulations. But that's like somebody in one of my like learning conquest games going, "Holy shit, I can hit a 5-man Gebald here," and they go in without turning around to go, "Do I have any follow up?"
Yeah,
Anybody back there?
God, yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
phenomenal.
like as you know, as much as it's cool to be like, Jake hits a 5-man freeze and there's nobody there because he didn't look behind him before he did it. You know, that to me is not like Jake makes a great play. That's Jake makes a shitty play, gets himself killed, and blows his team's only CC and their engage because the rest of the team wasn't ready for him to do that. And I don't know if that's the case, but that's certainly what it looked like. Like the casters were going nuts.
Yeah.
But everybody I was watching with was like, the Scylla's not even there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely something you see in lower levels. I remember that stuff. Oh, especially like in Ares goes in and miles ahead of everybody. Oh God, everybody! No one's
and
near
they all
you.
have beads, and they all have beads. And so, like the one Ra that's actually in range is like, "I got you, man!" And it's just empty air. You're down 2 alts, and nobody's paying attention. I hated that play, and I hated even more the fact that he got lauded for it. Because I felt like there was nothing that was going to happen after that freeze.
Sure.
So anyway, I think they were also so far behind that point, it just wouldn't have mattered.
I tend to agree with you there, Wraith. All right, any final thoughts on this set before we move on to, I guess, the better part of the weekend, I want to say, with the top 4 matching off and the bottom 4 matching off? I thought it was very good weekend.
God. Stuff makes me sad, I swear.
All right, let's move on to Ghost versus Sanguine.
Oh God.
I mean, Sanguine, they beat Ghost, and Ghost is no longer undefeated in Phase 1. I surely did not expect Sanguine to win, and I actually rewatched both of these games right before taping this right now. And I gotta say, the Sanguine Fire Giant fights look really good. They look really, really solid. Like, they're peeling off at the right time, they're engaging at the right time. You know, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I think this sort of is shaking up the league a little bit.
Because Ghost looked terrible. Go watch it again. Sanguine did play really well, but Ghost, I don't know if it's disrespect. I don't know if they're sipping on their own troll juice again. This was, it went from a 2-1 if I'm trolling to a 0-2. I am definitely trolling way too much. He was just sloppy all around, and I think they expected to have more room to breathe than Sanguine gave them. Yeah, that's mostly what it was coming down to. The first game, I could definitely say that's more like experimentation. You give them Persephone, you give them Cthulhu. Like you're looking to lose or you're looking to test something.
Right.
There's just no way that you plan to win that. You want information. And then the second game, Twig was just, his poor back. He was going in. I don't know how the others were feeling.
As his first relic. I just want to point out, he had
he did.
his first relic, and he blinked into, like, between the tier 1 and tier 2 at, like, level 5 to try and get a kill, which was, I mean, some crazy play from Twig here, especially in game 2.
Massive cojones there.
Yeah.
I would never have done that in my entire Smite playing for how many whatever years. Blink first on hub war mid. Are you joking?
No one's got the W key quite like Twig.
Yeah, I mean, I straight up did not understand the draft from Ghost. I don't know what the point of the Awilix was. Yes, she did just get buffed. But then Ymir. Miss me with that, please. I hate Ymir. I will stand on this pedestal until he gets buffed or reworked or changed or whatever. I don't think he needs it as a character, but I just don't think him as a kid belongs in the SPL. Just
Dang.
period.
So much hate. So much Ymir hate.
I
hope that
agree.
he's
I hate that god.
super niche. Oh, I'm on this hill alone. I thought you'd be with me, right?
I hate it. Play it in the jungle if you're trolling, and that's where the god belongs.
Come on.
And that's it.
Felix, we need
He
Ymir.
stinks. He stinks. Everything about him comes out too slow. And if you have half a brain or understand what he does, you just walk away from him.
You pick on him. That's what you
exactly.
do.
I'm with you, Lermy. I hate him. I hate him. I hate when my friends play him. I hate when my viewers play him. I hate him.
I think he's super niche, though. I think he's super niche.
Mm.
This was not the match. PBM had final pick. I'm thinking, oh baby, that's the dream. Getting support last pick. If I'm in ranked and I'm support last pick, we win. It's free.
Mhm.
Everybody wants that, and he whips out the Ymir of all things. I don't know if I guess the word around the scene is that Ymir is really good into Cthulhu because you can block him off from his ulti. He's so big. He's so massive. You could chain him down. He could be anchored down to where he ulted from, and he'd still smack you all the way to the other Titan. It just made no sense. And even then, if you go back and rewatch that first game,
Mhm.
there were some really big mistakes near the end where Ghost was just kind of letting loose that ult economy.
Sure.
Sanguine wasn't taking fights till they had everything they needed, whereas Ghost was just kind of running it down when they felt like it.
I think
That was a weird one to watch.
Yeah, I think we found out for sure though that you can't really give Shinto Persephone anymore. So I don't expect Persephone to get through picks and bans for Sanguine in the near future anytime soon. Any final thoughts?
I think
on
they'll
this
do
match?
it one. I think they'll let that go one more time.
You think so?
Maybe not Persephone Cthulhu, or maybe they let Persephone and Cthulhu, but just a different composition altogether.
Sure.
That's some information that's needed for sure. And then game 2, while it did look like Twig was on fire, my boy Panda Cat was looking a little rough on that Oleron. I don't know if he likes Oleron.
I think the Oleron has looked pretty. It looked pretty rough in both games.
Yeah, but that came more from like Twig's excitement in the first game, and then Panda Cat looked hesitant in the last game. It's almost like he would be so far away that the ult would only be used to get him back into the fight and not actually cover anything more than the space that he made for himself.
Sure.
How do we feel about Twig's build in game 2? Because it was weird.
Oh yeah, the Ratatouille
the
rush.
full lifesteal thing. It makes sense. You're going off item passives to try and get just buttloads of damage out really fast.
But it doesn't
Although he didn't
scale
build the
very
Soul
well.
Reaver. He didn't build the Soul Reaver until he
Very last.
sold his boots, which is a little weird to me.
Mhm.
I almost would have liked to have seen it for the Obshard, but I guess he felt like he needed more pen.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it to an extent, but you're selling your blessing to get the Typhon's Fang. By that point, I feel like it's too late. I don't think that you could pick up the Typhons that late. You just go for the Soul Reaver instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at that point, he had 2 lifesteal items, right? He had boots and Soul Gem, which, I mean, I guess you still get the value out of Typhons for.
More or less.
But I don't know. Maybe he felt like if he just did 1 billion. I mean, the guy was 13-4, so whatever he did was working. But maybe he felt like if he got an ult off after he gets dove or something like that, he could get that health back. Or I don't know. Triple lifesteal is pretty potent on Hebo. You heal basically to full.
Yeah, I just felt like Twig was kind of a little pissed off from that first game. Ratatouille rush. I've only ever seen that on like Zeus. He was trying to end the game before it got to 10 minutes. Jesus.
He was omega tilted. He was going.
Blink
He was
Ratatouille. That was I'll do it myself levels of tilt.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a little break here. I need some water. We'll go on to Radiance versus SSG next, okay?
Alrighty.
Hello, doggy.
All right, are we ready?
Who did anybody guess that one? By the way, the
upset?
Radiance and
I think Chuckles did.
Did he?
I think so.
Dang, I need to actually go back and look at what we ended up predicting on because I'm pretty sure most of mine went to hell.
Sure.
I had Radiance in that. Yeah, I lost basically half the week. I got Obey, Radiance, and Renegades day 3 right, and that was it.
Yeah, so I was right the first day, completely wrong the second day.
Yeah, Chuck had it.
But Chuck had it, so that ties Chuck and I up. And then we had the exact same thing. All right, so me and Chuck ended up even.
And I took Bill.
Yeah,
I have this real problem with picking underdogs because I want to see them do well, and I need to
but
just stop.
is it underdog or like at that point are you religious? Is it a miracle you're hoping for?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
SSG Radiance.
I hate yawning because I get like tears in my eyes.
Yeah. One of the cool things about the Ghost Sanguine set is and I meant to say this earlier, but cool thing was like we call them meta slaves all the time.
Yeah.
And they figured out the meta. They're playing well. But that was neat to see. I love seeing those guys do well. After all the shit that got talked about them, like I love seeing them do well. If it was any other team, I would have voted, on their side. But come on, man, you can't.
Yeah, you can't vote against Ghosts. Yeah, I agree.
I can. I just didn't know when. I didn't think they'd start trolling this soon.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a long phase too, right?
Yeah, it is. I figured they'd pace themselves a bit better, but it's already getting to them. We're not even done with the first set of round robin, are we?
I don't
I think we're very close.
Yeah, we're probably close. Because there have been a lot of what is it called? Not back to backs, but doubled up week for teams. Okay. Radiance versus SSG, another one of these top teams fighting off against each other to see where the standings sort themselves out. Radiance take the first game, but SSG come back and reverse sweep it. And I think this has to be the story of Dardez's Hera, which I think was recently unbanned from, unbanned into competitive to be allowed in competitive play again. What are you guys' thoughts on Dardez getting Hera back? Is it just coffins for the league, as Nico would say?
Don't give Dardez Hera.
Yeah.
Don't give him anything.
Just take his
Go
cards.
visit the house. Give him COVID. And make it so he can't play. Because he'll just walk all over you. The guy's a madman.
Yeah.
Right? If I was these other SPL teams, I'd be taking him out on the town every week just so I wouldn't have to play again.
Let me show you America, Dardez.
Yeah, no, come on, let's go. Atlanta's got great strip clubs. No, come on. Right? Fucking, that guy's insane on that character. He's insane. I don't think I've ever seen a game where I've gone, all right, Dardez is a real problem here. They need to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
Not one.
Okay. I took the connotation wrong. Where I was like, I've seen a lot of games where I'm thinking he's the problem. The jungler needs to dive him or something.
Oh, no. Like where they lose or they have a bad game or whatever. And it's like, oh, man, they really need more out of the mid lane. Dardez is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's insane. All right, I'm done.
And it's always on such odd characters, too. Sometimes it is like a meta character or sometimes it's something that he forces in himself. We're definitely going to see other players picking up Hera. Like, it's the only way to match it unless... Are you really going to ban her out?
I mean,
they're just going to pick it early.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's not enough bans to ban on Hera.
Bingo.
They're just going to early pick it. You either have to take it away from him or you have to give up one of your early bans for it. And neither of those are really good options for teams because nobody rocks the Hera like Dardez does.
This is why I like you talk about like banning, right? Like banning, we got so many gods, you gotta have so many more bans, right? If there were more bans, in competitive Smite and ranked right now, Dardis would never get the Hera. We would never see people pull out pocket picks. We would never see teams forced to choosing, do we ban the really meta thing or do we ban out this guy, right? Like they have to make those strategic decisions, which is interesting. Like you start shoving more bans into the game and all of a sudden everybody's playing like, you know, the top 80 characters instead of the top 90 characters, right? And nobody's allowed niche picks because they just get banned out, right? It's like the Obey set that we talked about earlier. Somebody had to make the conscious decision, or I guess it's coming up. Somebody had to make the conscious decision to say that we are going to give somebody else something else to get Bobby off this horse.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So you start shoving more bans in there and it gets crazy. But I love it because there is so much stuff that you have to ban out right now. You have to be super strategic with the way you do it and do your research on the enemy team. It's not the same thing where, you know, I think of like season 4 and season 5 maybe, where it was like you just hard banned like these 10 gods or 8 gods or whatever it is, and that's it, right? And I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I think it also speaks to the validity of picking these comfort picks, right? This is Lasbra on Pele. This is Sino on Nike, right? This is people doing stuff that they feel really good about and doing well on it because they're good at it, not because it's meta, right? I think we're going to see a lot more Hera, though, because he put on an absolute freaking clinic.
And even then, it's so hard to emulate his playstyle. Once there's like every now and again, a player comes through that just has either the right players around him, either the right mentality, something that makes that comfort pick very dominant. I don't think there's another word for it. It's just so dominant to the point where you're wondering, is this the meta? Do I have to play it too? Is it just your thing? Do I have to ban you out? I don't know.
Yeah, it just complicates the draft, complicates how they have to play around it. Nobody else is playing Hera. That just means that that's one more step for every single team to go up against. They always kind of bring it up like, you know, especially against Radiance, you have to ban out X, Y, and Z from Aurora. You need to figure out a way to play against this. Well, now SSG kind of have that card in their back pocket too. You know, Cherio's kind of had that before when they ban out like the Cabracket from him in the past, but now it might just be Dardas who gets to be the trump card here and say, all right, well, if you don't ban my Hera, I'm just going to play it.
Sure.
That too, isn't it? It seems like these players in particular have kind of meta adjacent comfort picks, and then what do? Are you going to spend them all on Cherry, all on Dardas? Now we've still got Cthulhu and all of them coming through. It's so strange that while it does speak to playing comfort picks, they can still rely on the meta. Oh, you banned out my Hera? Well, you just gave me Persephone. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's gonna force. I think it's gonna force other teams to have to figure out how to play those characters, because that's what it's gonna come down to. Is you're gonna ban out the meta stuff and you're gonna have to pick it to keep it out of his hands.
Sure.
And just back to your statement, Frost. The thing I love about Dardas is he plays his Hera like a jungler.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
He flanks on it. He like comes from behind. I'm like, dude, where's he going? Like, what? Nobody's got a ward there. Like, I just think back of like phase 1 where he came around the back of that fire giant and just unloaded on whoever they were playing against. I was like, dude, that's a flank. I love watching him play that character. I'll take that all day, every day, and I'm so pissed that he does so well on it because it means we're not going to see it ever again.
There's just no way, because you'd have to ban meta, you'd have to ban Hera, and then what? You're going to leave Cherry on his junglers that actually work? Because
they're going to have to
as much as I love Cherry, he's got like his 2 premier junglers, and then he just really doesn't like meta picks. He'll whip out a Guardian or who knows what else.
Well, you can't ban Cherry out, right? Like, because he'll pick something. So he's good on.
He'll play whatever. It does not matter what class it is. He will play it.
I think bans are wasted on Cherry personally. Because like, it's not that like you like it's not like banning out Bobby, right? You ban out Bobby, and it's a real struggle for Obey, right? You ban out Cherry, and he's like, oh, all right, whatever. I guess I'll play something else.
Well, I feel like if you try to ban out Cherry, you either like leave some OP thing open for some other role like Nika, or even Raffer or Vote or something like that. Like, and then Cherry's going to be just as effective on some off meta pick that you forced him onto. And before you know it, he's just going to pull out the Deja. And now the ping isn't an issue, and now we're talking about Cherry on Deja, which is still very good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly it. I honestly think that the solution to beating SSG is playing their picks.
Wear their clothes.
Yeah, no, it's really like straight up. I think that's it. I think you ban out the strong stuff, you pick the stuff that they're good at, and you force them onto stuff that they're not. But you have to be good on those things that you're gonna pick. Like that's just straight up it.
Sure.
All right,
Any final thoughts on this set, guys? I did want to mention that Cherry played Erlang Shen in both of the games that SSG won, and I think we saw Erlang Shen in the jungle in a couple of other sets this week too. I know Erlang is definitely not one of your favorite gods, Lurby, but it looks like Erlang might be coming back into the meta. Maybe not so unexpected because of the changes we've seen to where basic attack gods are going. What are your thoughts on Erlang Shen sort of coming back into the jungler meta?
It's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I like the character's kit outside of the ultimate, but he's definitely more on the facilitator side of things, which I think honestly is pretty meta right now. I think having that kind of third front line, more or less, just someone who's able to disrupt fights or bring some kind of huge CC, like I'm looking at like the Thors and the Dajis even from maybe adapting, like those kind of characters, when they are able to have their own space and do their day, I feel like they do slightly better than like the hyper carries, like the Pele's and the Robins or whatever we're kind of looking at there. I think that they're kind of the most consistent style that we've seen in terms of success. But I think Erlang is up there, at least in terms of what his kit can provide. Of course, it is, very dependent on, getting a very nice 9 turns blessing, but
well, they're pros, right? They're supposed to have the best engages and things like that.
Yeah, but if one team's got the best engages, then the other team should have the best disengage because they are both pros.
That is true. You got me with my own logic there, Frost.
I love Erlang.
It's definitely not one-sided, but the two that he picked it in, they had Cthulhu on the other side. It's definitely, we've got beefy brawlers at the front. We've got a Guardian, 2 warriors. We're making space. And Erlang is that sort of odd hybrid where, yes, he can be tanky, but my God, it doesn't feel right. It feels like it's a beefed up Kali. And we already know Cthulhu's super weak to shredder kind of characters. And he had the Keens, didn't he? I'm thinking, where'd he go?
Yeah, he had
Keens and Serrated Edge. My God. Yeah, that'll bring down a Cthulhu pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yep. I said, and I'm not saying I'm the Nostradamus of Smite or anything like that, but I said as soon as I saw Serrated Blade, back when we were talking about this in the Olympians Discord, and they were kind of giving us a preview of the changes that were coming, I said, you put that item in the game and Erlang is back with a vengeance.
You're too specific.
Lasbra 2-0'd with him. Or no, did he? Yes.
I don't know if he did
Is
play.
that the Renegades set? All right, anyway. Lasbra played him a bunch of times, did relatively well.
Cherry picked it up, then Sino picked it up.
Yeah, everybody's played well on him, right? He's back. I love that character. He's one of my favorites. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that one. God's good.
Mr. Olympian, buff his ultimate.
Love his ultimate.
I think his ultimate's good.
I think people would be pissed
if
they buffed his ultimate. People would be angry.
The taunt just feels so bad.
I mean, I think the worst part about his ult is the delay. I mean, outside of that, everything else feels good. It combos with the rest of his kit. Anyway, he's a good god, and he's back, and I'm happy.
All right, any final thoughts before we talk about United versus RNG and we sort of go from the top 4 down to the bottom 4 for this week? Because just like the top 4 face each other, the bottom 4 all played each other as well this week. That led to a bit more stratification in the standings. What do you guys think about United versus RNG? We thought United might have a chance to win this one, but RNG come through and really play well to win the games here. First impressions on this set?
That Thor solo
Mm-hmm.
was nutty. It was so good, and he had some weird stuff on it too. Like he had the Soul Eater on Thor, and I'm thinking like, okay, like maybe that could work. It has
Mhm.
cooldown on it. Thor likes that. He built straight up into the breastplate after that, followed by a Genji's, and that man's ripping out ultimates left and right. And that's why I think that maybe even Rat Solo too can have that kind of potency as well. Just the
Mhm.
fact that you can get to a fight so much sooner, can make those early rotations, and you don't necessarily get punished for it. And it's kind of the same thing too. You get ganked, you say, I'm just gonna pop the ultimate, and you can't hurt me anymore. So I think it honestly could be a lot more meta than we tend to think. We haven't seen it really at all, I believe, other than right now, at least in this past phase. So I don't know. I think we see a lot more of Thor in the solo lane after this.
Sure. Ross or Wraith, any thoughts on this game, or maybe Solar Troll on the Thor? Oh, that's a tongue twister.
SOT popped off. I think the unsung hero here was really Laz.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at his spread, 15 assists. Like he was part of every kill.
Sure.
20 out of 26 kills, he had a hand in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nutty in my opinion. That game 1 was just a good game. Game 2 was a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
And game 3, it looked like United just gave up. Like they just straight up gave up. And they just walked all over him game 3.
Once again, a Ymir loses. Shocker.
Yeah, we did say, we said 2-0 for Renegades, but they managed to.
No, it's 2-1, yeah.
Yeah, it ended up being 2-1, and it just feels the same as the prediction that we had before. It kind of almost came to fruition, which is neat that we predict the stuff beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you an understanding. Okay, what is it that we were overestimating? What did we underestimate? I think there's a little more cohesion on Renegades than there was for United, just like I was thinking before. In these games, it feels like Renegades can be a little more comfortable against top 4 teams, especially top 2. It just feels like they give up everything. They're almost timid and afraid to do much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In this game, spread your wings, fly away. Lasbra all over the map. Jay can step on whoever he wants.
Sure. I don't think Jake even played anything super crazy this game.
I know. I don't get it. What's happening? Is he sick? What's going on?
Sobek. Who thought we would see Jake?
Yeah, Sobek and Fafnir.
Yeah.
What?
Those
Jake can play Sobek?
Where they go in, they have the mobility, and then they can run away scot-free. So, I mean, maybe that's just the kind of playstyle you have to expect from him at this point, and teams have got to adapt, especially on the lower end. I feel confident in saying that the upper echelon of teams in the SPL could work around that and figure out a way to stop him, and clearly they have in the past. So I think it's really about these lower end teams, I guess you could say. They just need to do a little bit more homework on less the gods and more the playstyle.
I just missed the tier, man. Give me some more tier support.
What happened?
It's safe. Put him on something safe. I love it.
It's so. It finds me strange, and I saw it in a comment somewhere on the Reddit post analysis. Someone said, "Why bring Awesome Jake for what he's known for? Why would you get that support and change him?
Mm-hmm.
Why not just get someone else who is very well versed in that style that you wanted?" And I think it's working out okay, but I think they're basing some kind of analysis on it. I don't think he's going to hold up too well. Jake is very I don't want to say lacking, but that might be the word. Once you're up against top 4 teams, it almost seems like it just feels naked on Guardians, and he wants his tier.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do want to mention something that Barra told me last week when I was talking to him. I'm not sure if this made the show cut, but it will definitely be in the extended cut. But he said he was pretty happy with Jake because it sort of gives him time to, mold Jake into what he thinks an SPL support needs to be. And I think Zap also has said some of these similar things with when you get new players, you can really sort of show them the ropes in a very substantial way in terms of making, molding the players into a play style that really fits with what you might want to do.
But how much trial and error is there? Because as we recall, Zap went through many supports before he got himself a championship with the support that he helped mold.
Yeah.
Aurora, PBM, they were both supports under him. They both went on and made their own teams, or were a part of a team that became world champions.
That's true, but I think you have to cut Barra some slack, because this is maybe the first time he's really been in this mentor sort of veteran role. I think, most of the other teams he's been on has been stocked full of veterans. Either with Andy, Jeff all the time. Baskin was on his teams. I mean, it's always been full of veterans. So
it was Baskin's breakout with Barra. Then you got Mass, you got Xenotronics, you've got Scary D. It's, while he is old guard, it's not unfamiliar for him to bring in rookies and molding them. But the question, though, is it going to be like a Zapman thing where the support is going to bud once they break out? And how much longer does Barra have before he can actually, reap the fruit from this tree?
I mean, if it takes this whole year for Jake to grow, is it worth it? That's basically what you're asking, right, Frost?
Yeah, it's definitely worth it if he's there for it the next year. Yeah. If not, it's almost like the trial run is actually Barra instead of Jake.
Sure.
I can see what you're saying there. I think with a caveat that I don't know Jake personally at all. I don't know if his personality is kind of the same thing that you'd see from someone like Aurora, where they just go off and do their own thing. I don't know if he feels like he has the confidence to be able to do that in the SPL yet. I think, not to say that he's clinging for dear life to Barra's, kindness to bring him up into the SPL or whatever it might be, but I think he just does not have the footing yet to be able to make that kind of thing happen.
Sure.
From the way he plays and from experience playing alongside him, I think it actually could be, devil's advocate to my own point. I think it could be good to have that sort of old guard guidance. Jake is energy. That's energy lacking focus. And I think Barry, especially being the ADC, can help direct that focus, but he also lacks experience. That experience in itself is kind of gained through failure and gained through just trial and error over and over. And it's the support role. I don't think we'd be so on his case if it wasn't the support role of all things, where this guy's been here since all of Smite. He is Smite to me. Barra is Smite. And then we've got Jake, who's just kind of coming out of nowhere. He's got to take the reins.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. I remember talking to Laz about it at the beginning of the year. He's almost like he's similar to like a Lasber case. I think it's Frost is right. When you bring anybody out of kind of like the minor leagues or out of the woodwork, like you have to mold them into what you need them to be. And like Jake is mechanically very talented, but doesn't have a lot of the other stuff. But like Frost said, like that energy, that like willingness to try new stuff, and with mechanical skill is really hard to find. It's easy to teach somebody like, hey, like don't press up too far here, like you're gonna get yeeted, right? It's hard to get that kind of like, I don't say like passion for the game, because I know a lot of them have it, but like Jake plays Smite more than anybody I know. But like that kid is constantly on the game. Like it's nuts. Like so yeah, I mean it's harnessing that energy like Frost was talking about that I think they need to get a handle on. And I think he does well when he plays really boring picks like Sobek. Played out of his brain. Played Fafnir. Again, Jake's Fafnir. And he went like 6-0-14 or 10 or something like that. Yeah, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Now it was a terrible game, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, no, I think Jake's starting to come into his own. I think he played his like Mimi stuff in the style that he tried to bring to the SPL for a little while, and it kind of worked out. It was really hit or miss. Sometimes it was like glorious, like the first time he pulled out tier, and then other times it was just like kind of a wet fart, like it was terrible,
Mhm.
and and drag the team down. But I think he's starting to like, it works a lot like variance, right? Right, Frost, where you kind of go so far in
God.
every direction, you finally even out in the middle.
Yeah.
He's starting to find that middle ground, and he's starting to perform well. Like I would say phase one, there's probably half a dozen games where I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure if they have another support here, it'd be fine.
Mhm.
Or if Jake didn't do that, they would have had a decent game. And now I find myself saying less and less of that, which is good in the growth that you want to see, especially out of a new player like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I think kind of to piggyback off of what you were saying, though, we're kind of in a quote-unquote support drought right now. I mean, we saw Snoopy switch out of the ADC role to be a support.
That was my next point.
It's so difficult here for I guess, to bring in this new blood that they'd rather have someone who has the old blood, Snoopy, kind of transform into that. But, that's kind of a product of the environment that the world has kind of turned into as well. And honestly, even in the SCC, we're seeing junglers hop into the support role. We've got Cope, who is a very, very seasoned jungler.
Yeah.
He's the support for his team.
Sure.
Like, I would not have expected that. Wallace gets a jungler, and Cope is the support. And, this is nothing
Cope's
against
playing
Wallace.
support?
Yes, Cope is support.
Somebody needs to do a wellness check on that guy, because that's
COVID's got him.
And that's happened on their team too. I don't know off the top of my head which one it is, but the junglers are in support now, and I don't know what's happening, but I guess there really just is a lack of supports that are playing the game at a high level now.
They're maturing. Rafa was a jungler when he started. The real supports come out of the jungle.
I was actually gonna say that. I think it was my next point. I forgot because I have crazy ADD. But like, okay, so you got this post on Reddit about how, why didn't they just pick somebody else if Jake was gonna do this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
I believe it was more so just
and also that who
changing
question
identity
changed a lot around March, I would say.
Yeah,
who
exactly.
in December is very different than who in March or who in April of this year,
right?
Just because of where COVID has impacted basically everything. So,
yeah, I mean,
because I think if genetics had gotten in January, you could and was in the States and had moved in when all the other Europeans had done that. You could.
He'd be on EU United, and we'd have a different league.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a whole lot of different things that could have happened. Obviously, if we are doing hypotheticals, but
I'm almost kind of glad for it because it seems like guys like Guy J are getting a shot, right? Things like that, right?
Sure.
Guy J's a great player.
Yeah.
Guy J, he kind of had his welcome to the SPL games where you kind of, you're the rookie on the field and you get picked on, but he played well. Right. I mean, I don't think anybody would attribute any of those losses to him from an EU United perspective. Particularly this one against the Renegades. It wasn't like he fell down at all. But it's kind of a blessing and a curse where we miss out on a lot of good talent. But at the same time, that wasn't a factor when these guys were picking squads at the beginning of the year.
That's true.
Right. And but yeah, it's almost like the mid lane last year. Like mid lane last year was dry.
Yeah.
Right. You got Twig, or not Twig, but
Panda.
Panda moves mid.
Yep.
That's just a ghost thing. If they lose this year, then it's going to be Sam in the mid.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Sam has to go to the second best team, and then Fine Ok's turning mid.
But that's I think a lot of last year's mid shifts were around the double hunter meta. And the fact that all the good mids out there were all like Cannon Mage players. But I don't know. I mean, I ask that question all the time. Like, who are you replacing Jake with right now? Jake plays well, right? Callis can't replace it with Callis.
Yeah, none of the EU guys can come here, so it's got to be.
Well, now I mean, even at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
because we hate support in North America. It's really there's no greater tragedy than playing support in North America.
I was gonna say my chances are looking good. I gotta
even up and comers, like we've talked about, people who are really involved in the scene. There's usually like a list floating around of who could potentially be good. Like Mikhail was tossed around for solo. Not everyone knows about him, but the people who are really involved can go like, oh, there's potential in this person. Support, What? Throw me some support names. I really don't know many.
What about Gino? Is Gino still
I
playing?
don't think he wants to.
Doesn't Gino get trolled for not being the best support?
Gino, I believe, is on Baskin and the Boys, so he is on a very solid team. He does perform well. But I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he did not want to play in the SPL because he's doing school right now. I could be wrong.
I mean, you can't blame him for that decision.
I'm talking like a level underneath that. Where's that talent that's pushing that talent that's pushing even more? It just goes in waves. Where are these? When was the last time you were in ranked and you go, whoa, how's nobody know this guy? Basically, hidden gems in a way.
Well, usually when no one knows the guy in ranked, that means they're a smurf.
Yeah, right.
that too. Our up and comers are the SPL players.
Yeah. Yes.
I was gonna say I just started playing ranked again last night, Frost. So I'll
Fantastic.
see you in a few weeks.
It's a race to bronze. Here we go.
Oh God, dude. I played one. I was playing with my 18-year-old cousin. He's all right at the game. I was playing with him last night because he's like, I really want to get in a ranked. I'm like, fuck, here we go. Then we lost our first game, and I was playing solo. And this is when I made that tweet last night. Like, you lose your first 40% variance game at 1500 MMR, and I'm on a Smurf, and I'm like, oh fuck, like getting out of that is miserable.
Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah, I went 19-1-7 on Pele with 31k damage in 31 minutes, and we barely won.
What was your slash line for like your first 10 games, wins and losses? What would that end up being?
Oh, that was my second game. I only tried to play 2 of them last night.
We don't have qualifiers anymore, but it's basically like qualifiers without the name and without the format. Those 10 games are so crucial. Yeah. But that's like a different topic altogether.
Yeah, until your variance goes down to 0, or 5 or whatever it is, you lose those first 2 games, like you're fucked. It sucks.
Ranked.
New Smurf.
I got some new followers last night. They were like, "Who the fuck are you?" I was like, "Yeah, let's go." But
okay, I think we should move on to the next set of this week. We spent quite a bit of time talking about this. The last 2 teams of the bottom 4 that have to play are PK versus Obey. And Obey definitely did look better in this game. But Cuvo looked like the world beater that I think we sort of expected Cuvo to be when he joined PK. And he really ran this set. What are you guys' initial thoughts on this set going on to end the week?
You did it. You nailed him. You reeled him back in just a little bit. And then, yeah, I'm going to give that W to Chuck, honestly.
So all that, you're just a good job, Chuck. You disciplined them well.
Coming from a coach perspective, and I mean, me and Chuck were rivals in the past when we were both coaching the OC region. So yeah,
okay. I'm the one that had the stellar job. Hey, good old rival on console when they were undefeated.
Man, I mean, yeah, like you said, Cubo just kind of had a fucking show.
Sure. Rayton?
Yeah. This one kind of made me sad.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, coming off the win, feeling good, looking clean, Obey would take it to PK, and then Cuvo was just not having it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to discredit anything the rest of the team's done, not to take anything away from Chuck, but Cuvo, again, I used the word earlier, looked anemic for the first 6 what is it, 6 weeks now? Week 5, 4 weeks of the
week 4
split.
Like that.
Yeah, 4 weeks of the phase, completely anemic. Wasn't getting the engages he wanted. Wasn't getting to play the way he wanted. We get shut down a lot. We get turned on in team fights. Like, I feel like we saw this like Cuvo that was like really frustrated, and he finally had enough, and he took it out on those poor kids on Obey, and that was just over. Especially game 2. Like game 1 was good and close, and then game 2 he was like, I got shit to do today, and I'm not doing this. And he's like, this game's over.
Jim must have been closing early or something.
Yeah, dude, he popped off.
Yeah, definitely. Frost, any thoughts on this game?
It's again one of those. Are you only doing this because of who you're going against, or was it what you were expecting to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
We like Paul picked hell again. I don't know if this is the groundhog saw its shadow. It's okay to be hell again for 2 more weeks,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's just took out your shades because it was against Obey.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is more of a discussion for next week's picks, but I hope he brings it back out again because, I always love to see the hell.
Sure.
We had to see it sometimes up in the SCC and didn't work out recently, but I think, Pagan in particular can have the chops to do it. So just in general, I think that character has a lot of potential, especially when it's coming from a superstar like Paul who really knows this character inside and out. So I hope he picks it up again, honestly.
I did want to mention that Obey had, I don't want to say weird, but a different start in the duo lane, going for the Alpha Harpy instead of contesting the wave.
Oh my
first
goodness.
wave. And I really wanted your take on this, Frost, because you were wondering about the Ghost Minion and trying to blink early to get that. And Obey are just like, nah, we're not going to do any of that. Let's get the Alpha Harpy. What are they? What's the thoughts here?
I was talking about that to Flair because at the start you're missing, even with the Ghost Minions. If you get a full wave, split or unsplit, you really, if you split it, you are 1 creep away from. Actually, hold on. I've got my notes here because I wrote it all down.
Yeah, it's 1 creep.
Yeah, you're missing 1 creep, but it's a very specific amount of XP that changes how it goes depending on the minion. Is that it? Oh, there it is.
But they
Yeah, you need 308 experience to get to level 2. If you split, you get 302, and that's easy to make up for on anything. Now, if you do the one person takes it, you get 315 XP. You're already a level 2. If you didn't get it, you are at 281. That's someone do the math for me. 19 plus 8, 27. I even wrote that
Carry
down.
the 1.
So
carry the 1.
That's it. So, if you take the Alpha Harpy, you're basically just kind of bypassing it all and going, okay, we hit level 2 off the first wave. But the timing, when you hit level 2 is almost as important as just hitting level 2. And it's as a questionable start, I suppose.
So one of the rationales that I heard was that they did it because they figured they would get invaded.
And they had a lower pressure lane, especially with Cupid.
Yeah.
That's what the casters were saying, that Cupid might not be able to clear as well level 1. But I think if you're Cupid Herc...
was it Cupid Herc? Was it the Cupid Herc game? Or?
Yeah, it was Cupid Herc. And if you're Herc level 1...
Herc's pretty good.
You get your 2, and you clump up the wave, and you Herc bomb the whole wave. I feel like the clear is not that bad there.
They're not going to get invaded, though. I mean, even if they do, I just don't see the rationale behind getting Assassin's Blessing as a support, period.
Oh, he did that on accident.
Oh, was that an accident?
Yeah, Bobby tweeted he did it on accident. They paused and that they couldn't change it out. So that's probably more to do with it. I don't think it was a secret strat, but it is something that I think could be experimented on, but not with the Cupid. I was thinking Hachi because he doesn't need mana potions for sustain. So having that hog, you're not going to suffer with 2 Hand of the Gods. But that game was, they just kind of messed up there.
I mean, that's an unfortunate.
That's a weird game.
Yeah,
I think that's. Honestly, that's probably why they went for the Alpha Harpy because he does so much more damage on the.
Yeah, I mean that was my thinking, at least. Not knowing that it was a mistake, I was like, okay. I mean, I can see it, I guess.
Sure.
I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, the more I think about it, that's like taking. Life gives you lemons, or you buy them yourself and put them in your inventory and can't sell it back.
Life gives you lemons. I made beef stew.
Yeah, life gives you lemons, and you're trying to make do with what you have. I think, honestly, the more I think about it, I think it's probably the right call if you get the Assassin's Blessing.
Yeah.
Right, because you're gonna get out pressured.
Yeah.
You don't have any of the benefits of Guardian's Blessing, so you can't really fight. Right. So, what's the next best alternative? Right.
Get the farm.
Deny them farm that they're going to get.
Yep.
Right, no matter what.
Sure.
I don't think they fought level 2 either on the wave.
I don't think so. I don't recall them doing that.
No, I think they just stayed the hell away from him. And Bobby just tried to like go get Jungle Farm and be around for Jungle Farm to try and stack the blessing. But yeah, no, that one's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know?
Just
You're gonna
unfortunate.
take the L on that mistake.
I thought it was gonna be a strat though. Genetics loves Assassin's Blessing on support.
Yeah, I've seen that a
But
lot.
no,
though,
but yeah, inbound was just like it was a mistake.
Genetics is drunk half the time he plays. That guy drinks his own Kool-Aid more than anybody I know, and it's so awesome.
It's amazing.
He's like, no, mate, you're gonna see it on her support, and her support. It's coming out.
I have to
You're
mention.
not picking it. You're trolling. I love that guy. I love Jenna, dude. I was so sad when I saw he couldn't keep playing.
Yeah.
I was so sad when I saw he couldn't keep playing because he is like the ultimate theory crafter.
Yeah.
Like Kazir is on some weird shit.
Mhm.
Genetics is on weirder shit. Like those two are off in the EU foraging for mushrooms in the forest together,
Yeah.
and Genetics just finds the better ones because
One's
like-
Gandalf and the other one's Radagast.
dude.
I mean,
Dude,
even
like,
throw back to our discussion from week 1. Like he talks shit. Like he
Mhm.
talks bad shit, and you love it. You love
I
to see
love
stuff
it.
like that.
I have to mention the raw snipes from Wolfie, which are just on point, I think, all set long. I don't think we've seen really anyone else pull out raw at all in season 7.
I think he's good.
He's always had a really, really hot Raw to begin with, but
Yeah.
I think Raw's not the worst right now.
Yeah.
No, you could fire. You could change a team fight from range with a big surprise. Like when he I can't remember who he sniped.
I think he sniped
Bobby
Zap once.
Yeah,
Off
he
of,
pulled him into the fire
Mhm.
giant and he just yeeted him.
Yep.
Like that's a game ender any later in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. They didn't really punish him too hard. I guess they did game 2, but I think Raw's good. I think I don't know. Some of the snipes from Wolfie is like what you would expect, right?
Mhm,
Like he was
mhm.
playing off of his setup, like any good mid laner would. But you know, I think I thought he piloted the Raw very well.
I think one of my big issues with the Raw is that if they make it a staple of their comp, like I feel like they did this weekend, people are gonna absolutely counter it come the next week, come whatever it is. If they ever pull out this Raw again, I feel like it's doomed from the start.
I think this is basically the only week we've seen it. I don't think Wolfie has played Raw before this week at all.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing though, like pulling out, I mean, maybe not exactly the same thing, but like pulling out the Nike again. Like, you know, it's in Sino's back pocket. You know he wants to play it. And,
A little too
you know,
much,
with the
maybe.
changes and things like that. She's practically dead, right?
Mhm.
There's no way you can pull it into a comp game.
Who?
Not with Sunder running around anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, never again. It's fantastic. I praise Sunder.
You're a Blink Sunder boy.
All right, any last thoughts on this set before we start picking games for week 5?
I figured we'd get towards a hump of, I'd say, kind of strange games by midway through the phase, but it looks like it came
A little earlier?
right at the third. We're almost there. So before, when I thought it was going to go a really big high and then a low and then settle once again, I think it's gone from its high. It's about to get weirder. I think next week's probably going to be even stranger, and then maybe settle once again at the 2/3 mark, get erratic, and then final push for the SPL. But it's just getting crazy.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, well, let's move on to picking them. Next week, there are a lot of great games, starting with Ghost versus Radiance. I guess I'll start with you, Raythan, since you haven't picked any games yet. Who you got, Ghost versus Radiance?
I'm still on the fence on this one.
No, you gotta make a pick. On the fence does not count.
Oh wait, do you just want my pick or do you want my explanation?
Whatever you want to
Pick
give.
a little flavor. Give us a little flavor.
I'm going Radiance.
Ooh.
Ghost looked a little flat against Sanguine. I think Sanguine exposed some of their weaknesses. I think Radiance is a good enough team to take advantage of it.
You think
2-0,
2-1?
2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the game score?
2-1. I want to see a long set.
Okay. Lermy,
My
how about
poor
you?
heart.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2-1 Radiance. I was not impressed at all by Ghost Gaming this past week. They do have the chance to clean it up a bit, and I think that they have been a little more consistent than Radiance, and Radiance has been kind of the number one, at least in growing consistency in this past split so far. But I think, Ghosts are going to look at last week and they're going to say, what did we just do? Did we take the L like that? Was that real life? And they're going to come back this week a little bit better, but I think it's not going to be at 100%. I think Radiance take it 2-1.
All right, Ghost Boy, who you got?
Well, always Ghost. On the ticket right now, locked in Ghost. But I'm thinking, worst case scenario, I've not known these boys to take a trip and then recover, like a small bump and then recover. No. One falls, the other one's getting dragged. The rest of them, because they all have different levels of rock bottom and different levels of recovery. Either this is the first time it goes from just a hiccup to steadying out once again, because maybe the Radiance game means a lot more than going against Sanguine, or this is the start of the tumble. Like I said, it's about to get weird, and it could go 2-1 for Radiance, but I'm thinking it's got the possibility of a 2-0. Twig means the business, or it's about to get really embarrassing and end up going 0-2 for Radiance. But I'm gonna stick with the 2-0 on Ghost.
So 2-0 on Ghost, but just as high a probability for a 2-0 to Radiance?
Yeah, I think at this point I'm gambling.
All right, let's start with you, Lermy, on the next game, which is
Whoa,
Sanguine.
Cam. What's your pick? We haven't gotten to you yet.
All right, okay, I'll give a pick. I think it's going to be 2-1 towards Radiance. I do think that Ghost probably is still trying to figure out a couple of things, and it just seems like Radiance is playing very, very clean. I think Cyclone is playing basically like a Worlds winner. He's looking just like he did on the Splice days in the duo lane from sort of a rougher start in phase 1. So I'm giving it to the Radiance boys. All right, let's go to the next game, Sanguine versus Obey, and I'll start with you, Lermy.
Sanguine, baby, vamos. We're hitting this 2-0. I don't think there's a single chance that Obey takes anything here. I don't think they take a game. I think this will honestly be a stump. With the way that Sanguine played this past week, they are on their next level. We talked about before how they were kind of trying to figure out the meta. It changed up a bit during the midseason. They popped off the first split, but once it changed, they kind of were once again back to figuring out what their new meta slaves were going to be. But I think that they have it. I think they're going to take this one easy.
All right, 2-0 for Lermy. What about you, Frost?
2-0 Sanguine. I think no one has a cleaner neutral than Sanguine does.
Sure.
Like that neutral game is just on fire for them. And there was a crisis almost in a way. I don't know if you guys have seen the Sanguine documentaries for their phase 1 stuff. They beat Obey the first time, but then they lost the second time. That's when Sino was traded out.
Sure.
And they had just like a hard time really figuring out what happened. We beat them the first time. Is it Sino? Is it us? And ever since then, I think Obey for them has been like that one team that they absolutely refuse to lose, and they're not going to grind for anyone nearly as hard as they're going to for Obey. I think this is almost a personal thing for them. It's going to be 2-0.
Sure. All right, Wraith, who you got? Sanguine versus Obey.
Oh, God.
Well, what's on the ticket, but what's your actual guess?
I'm doing it. I'm going Obey. I'm going Obey because I believe I'm delusional. No, you know what? Signs of life, improvement, getting shit figured out. I think Sanguine walk into this underestimating Obey, and I think Obey smacks him in 3 games, 2-1.
Okay, Obey
it's
2-1.
Obey 2-1. I just changed it in game. Might change it back before the end of the week, but
When he comes to his senses.
I believe in these guys. They're all such good players in their own right. They're getting there. They're on the cusp. They're getting better, right? I think you see like phase 1 Obey and even Obey last year. They just they got worse. They had one sign of life and then they just went downhill from there. I gotta believe that they're figuring it out this year. Sino just moved down on Sunday. right? So that's going to be awesome having them all in the same house where they could strangle each other after the game.
Yep.
But whatever. You know what? Call me a fool. But
All
I'll be the contrarian.
I tend to agree with you a little bit. I don't think Obey is going to win, but I do think it's not going to be a 2-0. I think it will be 2-1. Obey will take a game. I think Wolfie's actually been playing really well as of late. Even in the losses, I think he's been positioning very well, hitting a bunch of his abilities, following up. I think there is a chance that Obey can do something. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they'll do something. So I got 2-1 towards Sanguine. Let's start with you, Frost, on PK versus RNG. Sort of a battle of the boomers in Zap versus Vera.
Battle of the boomers. Alrighty then. Well, it depends on the ticket. I've got the Knights, honestly, just for Faith and Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Zap's going to go and get himself soloed. He's been playing a very mellow style of hunting.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's going to continue. I really do kind of miss that constant pressure that they were known for. And I think that pressure would play really well into Renegades. But it just this mellowing out, I think it's going to be like a 2-1 for the Knights. Unless Paul plays hell. Then that's a definite 2-0.
PK versus RNG. Raythan, who you got?
Renegades all day, every day. Nah. Well.
Sorry, what shirt are you wearing today?
What shoes are you wearing today?
Yeah, I know, right? I get. It depends on whether or not Renegades pull out Ying again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that's right.
I think if they pull the Ying out again, I think they take it. That was set up for that joke the entire time. I think PK takes this 2-0.
All right, Lurie.
Yeah.
You have any more thoughts, Raythan, or can I throw it to Lurie here and see what she thinks?
Throw it to Lurie. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for that one. All right.
Lurie, PK versus RNG.
I got faith in Chuck. He's gonna bring the boys back for this one. I'm thinking 2-0, 2-1 if they're trolling, or in the case of Ghost, if we're seeing that kind of thing pop up, then 0-2 because they're definitely trolling, says Frost. But period, 2-0 Knights.
All right. I also think it'll be the Knights. I think Cuvo is stepping up his game. I think this is sort of going to be the ramp up to really hitting a good stretch of games for PK. I got PK winning 2-0 against RNG. I love all my RNG boys, but I think I got PK winning on this one. I think I started with Lermy, so let's get back to you again with SSG versus E United. Or did I start with Raythan? I think I started with Raythan. You're up, Raythan. SSG versus E United. Who you got?
Space Station.
Yeah.
United need to turn it around, and I don't think it's going to be against SSG.
Sounds simple enough. What's the score?
2-0.
2-0?
A fast 2-0. Sub 25 minutes each game.
Ooh, all right. That's a prediction. Lermy, how about you? SSG versus United? Another 2-0?
Yeah, it's just gonna be a 2-0. I don't think United finds their first win here. I think that United still need more time to grow, and Space Station being at the top is not gonna make it easy for them.
Frost, how about you? SSG versus United?
2-0 for SSG. I had faith before in them that they United was sort of like king slayers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do well against their own, but if they had to punch up, they definitely could. With genetics gone, I don't really feel that same punch. That's a 2-0 SSG.
I think it's also going to be a 2-0 for me for SSG. I think United still have way too much to figure out with Snoopy and Gaijay in the duo lane. And sometimes it just feels like Scream just trolls the games. I don't know. Is that just me? I don't want to antagonize Scream or anything, but
no more Wukong jungle. Then we'll see.
To me, it's like you got a chain gang, and if you're not all in sync,
mm-hmm.
it doesn't go well. Even if you're let's say that you're the strongest one, you've got the best stride. Yeah. If you don't learn to walk with the ones behind you, you're like dragging yourself forward. You're dragging them. You're dragging yourself. They just can't find that momentum and that tempo. It felt like Genetics was the one beating the war drum, keeping everyone on beat, and now it's all these guys trying to keep in sync together.
That's a very good way of putting how I feel, Frost. I appreciate that. All right, let's move on to the next game. Ghost versus Obey. I think we'll start with Lermy Wormy on this one. Who you got in this match?
Once again, 2-0 Ghost. This is a as much as Obey has been growing, I kind of have just the same feelings as I did for SSG versus E United. This is gonna be kind of their break week, or not necessarily break week, but after they finish with Radiance, they are gonna be coasting, and this is gonna be a nice, easy, quick 2-0 for Ghost.
Sub 25 minutes, like Rayton said.
Oh, I mean, maybe a little bit spicy, but yeah, I could see it.
Ross, how about you? Who you got for this set?
It's gonna be 2-0 for the ticket. And oof,
2-1 controlling.
pride before a fall it's the constant motif with this team that I love. They fly so close to the sun. I don't know if their rock bottom includes a visit to Obey.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think it'll be 2-0. Even in their worst tumbles, I don't think that there's going to be a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
If there is, that's definitely going to be a 2-1 at least. A little blood.
Sure. Rayton, who you got for Ghost versus Obey?
Ghost.
Ghost? 2-0?
2-0. Yeah.
All right. I think I'm also.
You love underdogs. What happened there? You love underdogs.
We're just calling everyone out today.
I think I'm probably also going Ghost 2-0. Go ahead, Rayton.
Yeah. I look. I said Obey are growing. I'm not stupid. Right? Like, they're growing. Are they going to take out the best team in the league? Maybe by the end of the split, if they keep on the track that they're on, but not right now. I don't think they're there yet, and I hope they surprise me. I want to be wrong.
I will say, I think Obey have a chance to win this set. Actually, if Radiance do something crazy and they 2-0 Ghost, and there's something that happens in that first set this weekend, I think Obey might be able to take advantage of maybe some mental lapses on Ghost to maybe take the set. I don't foresee that happening because even if it's a 2-1 against Radiance, I feel like Ghost are going to feel pretty good about their games that they play against them. So there is a small chance, but I'm still going for Ghost.
Yeah, you're reading into my fears. See, that's what I'm telling you. I don't know how bad the tumble would be, and if it's one of those, I'm going to continue to sulk into the Obey game, or if I'm about to take out some frustrations and we all get Blink first item.
Sure. I mean, I did have to keep my picks consistent. I did pick Radiance 2-1 against Ghost, so I just had to give that possibility. All right, I think last set of next week, which is Radiance versus E United. Let's start with you, Frost. Who do you got in this one?
Again, this is a team that I believe United could have punched up into before with genetics. Right now, it's Dolson's joke might have not been too off. I don't know if you got the right team, but
oh man,
I think these two teams suffer from consequences of the league, such as like long-term problems, like we didn't do the contracts right. Yeah, COVID was also a big issue. Who do we replace people with? Even if we do replace people with, who do we replace? Even if these two teams, let's say that they merged and the best players became the main team and the other team was kind of like the scrim team, you don't have combined talent for it because the problem spots, quote unquote, are not opposite roles. 2-0 Radiance.
All right, right? Who you got? Radiance E United.
2-0 Radiance. Like I said earlier, United's got some stuff to figure out. It's similar to Obey. I don't think they're doing it against one of the top two teams in the league. Not this quickly. Again, maybe in 2-3 weeks, we'll see a different side of them. But again, I'm not delusional. I would love to see them win. I would love to be wrong.
I think we all would, because that would, really drastically shake up.
You just get better competition. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Yeah, we talk about this every week. It's like when you know who's gonna win, like it's boring. Like why even watch the SPL?
All right, well, let's see what Lermy has to think. You got the E United upset, Lermy Wormy, or?
Wait, am I supposed to have thoughts about this set? Because I wrote down 2-0 in my playbook and I closed it. That's all there is to say.
All right. I think I'd probably also go 2-0 to Radiance here. Radiance just look too strong, and there's probably a case to be made that Radiance is the best team in the league right now. as far as like, maybe power rankings would go, especially seeing what happened in the Ghost and Sanguine set. So I got Radiance going 2-0. I think that's a clean sweep for us. Everyone here said Radiance 2-0 on that one. Any other general predictions you might have for next week or maybe the upcoming phase a little bit?
Audio. There's going to be a lot of audio. Yes, I'd almost stake, like, I don't know what I have to stake. I'd stake a stake on it. We're going to see a lot of audio just because of the Ghostman, and I don't think anyone abuses it quite like her.
Okay.
That's true.
Wraith Lermy, any predictions for later on in the phase?
Someone's gonna pick up Hera. It's gonna happen. Other than Dardas.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ardio's a good call. I don't really have any spicy ones outside of that. I don't know. I have to think about it.
All right, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm excited for Yomi when he's in the league. It's gonna be a little bit still, but
No,
excited.
he's not gonna get played. He's not gonna get played.
And solo,
no.
he could.
He's not
Come
gonna get
on.
played. He's
Give
not gonna
me
get
some
played.
faith.
Let's
ADC.
be real here. People are so pissed at the state of his release that, and when does this air? Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
All right.
And the bonus.
Yeah, it won't be after bonus. So I can't. So let's just say High Res has heard, or Titan Forge has heard the frustrations of players around his output. And I personally am worried that it may be too heavy handed to the point where he's not good.
Wait,
That
people
is my
complain he
fear.
does too much damage?
He does too much. Everything. I played him in every role. He just shows
he's
up. Even as a tank,
nuts.
he just shows up, murders everything.
I agree.
No,
I agree. He probably
he's
does a
going to
little
get
too much.
nerfed. I think, and usually they're actually pretty good about this where they do kind of like a couple of rounds of light nerfs so they don't just kill the god. But I think people are so frustrated with him. Like, I actually asked Ajax the other day if the ranked population went up after Tsukiyomi's release so people would get away from him. Because I've had a Tsukiyomi Morgan in every casual game that I've played to the point where it's boring.
That's why I played ranked again. Too much Cthulhu.
Oh God, dude. But no, I honestly think that if they don't heavily nerf him, they're gonna have a real perception problem where people are just fucking angry. And it's gonna be a while before we see him in the SPL because he's gonna have to do poorly, get buffed, and then he'll be back in the meta.
Is it the ultimate that they're touching?
Frost, I can't tell you that.
Oh man, 'cause that's my worries with their with their, I'd say, knee-jerk reactions to certain characters. They seem to nerf the things that weren't issues, and then
Wait, are you trying to say the ultimate's not an issue?
no. What I'm saying is that they're going to nerf what's not an issue and leave what is an issue.
Okay.
The ult is definitely an issue,
All right.
but to the point where like the 1, the 2, and the 3 are practically useless now in tandem, but you still got that disgusting ult.
I could probably say this without getting into too much trouble. Frost, I think you will be satisfied with the changes.
Okay then.
And if you're not satisfied with the changes, you're an
Complain to
unrealistic
your local
expectation.
Olympian, I think is what he means to say. I'm not satisfied with the changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put it in the suggestion box.
Yeah. I would definitely say, in my experience, the damage on the 1 is a little too absurd, and the damage on the 3 is absurd.
I do feel
The
learned.
2 I get. Like, you need a bursty thing, but like all 3 of your abilities being like super bursty is kind of...
I don't even think the 3 does that much damage. If you're sitting there
Oh,
walking,
the 3 does insane damage.
I've seen
I
that.
actually maxed it.
It's sleeper. It's sleeper.
Depending
It's
on the
sleeper
match,
damage.
I actually maxed the 3. Like the 1 and the 3 before I get the 2.
I just maxed the 2 because I think that also does too much damage too, probably.
If I don't think they're going to be fighting in front of me, or if they're too tanky, I'm just going to get the 3, and they're not going to be near me.
Yeah, low key. Tsukiyomi counters Tsukiyomi
Yeah,
because
that
if you
is
go
true.
up into you 3 your feet, and when he dashes to you in his ult, he kills himself.
That's what I've been doing.
It's so
My
funny.
favorite mirror match because it's the first one to do something suffers.
Yep.
And the first
Yeah,
one to
it's
2
the opposite
is
of
the
every
one
other
that
mirror match.
wins, and then the first one to all is also the one that wins. There's so many little things about that character that make the mirror matchup so fun.
Yeah, he's just his 1, 2, and 3 are phenomenal. I love his ground game.
They're so
That
fun.
ultimate though, I think undermines almost all of his design.
Yeah, I think they needed to. I think they need to take away the movement speed steal on the 1. That was the big thing for me, because he just runs away from you.
It's,
Like,
Honestly,
it's such an
I
odd
don't-
thing. It's like it's a steal, but it's not a steal.
I mean, you do have to like get up close to the enemy to get the steal, right?
No,
I
Your-
think
your
you have
tap
to.
your shirt.
Yeah.
it's the auto afterwards that you can hit. It's a
Yeah.
ranged auto that you can hit with.
Oh, right. Oh,
But that's
so
the
what
thing
does-
is like if
what
I go
does-
all in on you and I don't kill you, you're still slow to oblivion
Yeah.
between the 3
It
and the 1.
procs on everything. That's the thing. It procs on towers. It procs on minions. You can hit anything with that auto attack and zoom, and
Yep.
that's just weird.
Ew.
You just always get your 25%.
I have not experimented with that.
Yeah, I don't think it should have the steal on it at all. If it was just a flat slow, it would kind of make sense because you could bees the slows and chase after him. But the steal just means like you say he's an immobile god, but he is very mobile,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He is
There's
so many ways.
self-peel tools too.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all on like 6-second cooldowns. So you think that you've outplayed him, and then all of a sudden you get yeeted in the head by the Kasarigama again.
It's so good. He beats Heim so well.
What
He
is,
beats everybody. I played Arachne into him the other day, and I honestly it is the closest
It is
I've
a-
come to like shutting off my
Awful
PC.
matchup. Him in Tabaka is super good. Into any auto attack characters, it feels so good to
He's
get
got
up
some
with a
weird
2.5
matchups,
second
though.
disarm.
Like he's not too good in a Kukulkan for some weird reason. Kabrakan is a who's going to press buttons first, and then Ganesh absolutely poos on him.
Kepri to anyone that has a root that can just make it so that he has to press 4 or he's just sitting there and taking it.
Mhm.
Root silences, ways to interrupt his 2, just make it so that you only get the disarm and not the stun or the extra movement speed. That's going to be what's really going to counter him.
That's it for the SPL rundown this week. Be sure to catch us every week at 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays on twitch.tv/APM Productions to find out what our analysts have to say about last week's matches and to hear an interview with a SPL Pro player. If you have any guests that you would like to see on the show, be sure to DM me on Twitter at APAM2 or at APAM Productions. And please sure to subscribe and like our YouTube channel where you can find extended cuts of my discussions with analysts and pro player interviews, as well as full episodes. See you guys next week.